Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Fireside Creators. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sherry Palace. This week's show is on the relationship between Christianity and other religions, and we've got an all-star panel. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. If you are on Facebook, I have switched streaming platforms, so you will need to register with Melon. So we see your name and all of that when you comment or ask questions. Remember that this is a safe space, and please be sure to keep all comments and questions on topic. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Thank you so much, Ruth, Kirsten, Michelle, Ray, and Heidi. You all rock and enable this show to go on. If you enjoy the show, please consider supporting it. You can go to sherrypalace.com, and there is a support tab and a shop tab, and you can get a cool t-shirt like this. It's all there. There's literally dozens of ways to support the show. But thank you so much for being here, because you just being here supports it and makes sure that we are not talking to ourselves. So thanks for welcoming us into your living room. I appreciate you. Okay, before we start the show, I want to talk about a moment of love. It is a movement that we have started with our beloveds, Mike Zanker, Anna, and Michelle, and it is to cover the entire planet in love, and we are down to just a couple days. November 6th, which is this Sunday, we are going to cover the planet in love by just taking a moment to think of someone and send them love. It costs nothing. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything really, except think and send some love. So join us. We're not going to stop on the 6th. We're going to continue to spread love across the world throughout the year. But I want everybody to come together. Our entire planet needs this right now. So just stop and take a moment to share love. Go to sherrypalace.com, and there are all kinds of stuff for Moment of Love. If you let me know where you are, I will add you to the map and put your name up there, and so you can see where everybody is. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Good old live. There. See that cool map? So we've got 6 continents covered, but we've still got a ton of countries to cover and to get this world covered in love. So join us. It's really cool. It does not take any of your time, but it can actually change the world. So I'm hoping that you will do so. Take a moment to send love. Okay, let's meet our panel. Okay. First, we have Beth Anne Doan. She is a follower of the universal Christ, tiller of soil, dog lover, embracer of the divine feminine and moon, and multi-faith chaplain who specializes in elder care and support. Welcome, Beth Anne. How are you?
Hi. Oops, I'm paused. Is that better?
I think you're there.
Can you hear me?
I have so many screens open right now. Hi. Okay, next, let me see. Okay, next we have Beth Freeman. She spent nearly 20 years in marketing, followed by 10 years in education. During her time teaching high school, with the help of a dedicated energy therapist, she embraced her own personal healing. Today, her mission is helping others find inner peace and their soul's purpose in life. She is a soul purpose channeler, serving others through communicating with their personal spirit guides and angels. Beth authored Daylight for the Soul, Forgiveness for the Soul, The 5 Steps of Self-Forgiveness, and the children's book With Love, The Itty Bitty Calico Kitty. She's also the co-creator of Peace and Purpose podcast. Welcome, Beth.
Hi there.
Thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
And last but definitely not least, we have my prized producer, Anna Garcia-Lucas. She was born and raised in New Mexico. She's a mother, wife, veteran, and survivor. Anna earned her MDiv at the Episcopal Divinity School at Bexley Seabury. Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary. She's a Reformed Catholic, a spiritual mystic, probably a heretic, a lover of coffee, music, green chilies, and good jokes. Always a pleasure to have Anna on the panel. Hello.
Hi. Oh, Beth and Beth. I am so excited.
Okay, let me figure out how to do this. Oh, thank you for all coming. There we go. For all coming tonight. This is a topic that I have wanted to discuss for so long. Especially since my PhD is in comparative religion. This is just a topic that is warm to my heart, and I can't wait to chat with everyone on this. Okay, so Beth, we will start with you because you're at the top. What is your impression, or what is your interest in how things have combined with all of the religions? What's your perspective on it?
Beth Anne or Beth? Me, Beth?
Beth Anne. I'm sorry. Beth Anne.
Oh, hi. As I am, a lot of folks that I encounter in seminary, I'm currently graduating this year. Yay!
Yay.
And at Boston U School of Theology. And I started out in the comparative MDiv department, where I started out at Hartford Seminary, which is a multi-faith seminary all day, every day. You're surrounded in multi-faith all the time. And I discovered that I really loved it.
Yeah.
And I was in the process of throwing everything I thought I believed, on the table and discovering it. And really examining what I thought. And I lost my religion, but found my faith.
Same.
Yeah. And I just found most religious doctrine, dogma, very restricting. And that
Yes.
it not only made God small, it didn't reflect and honor the personal experiences of, we're a global people.
Yeah.
And we're all just people here struggling and mucking out our relationship with each other, with the earth, creation, and with God. And people have written about it, they sing about it, they pray about it, and they bring ritual and liturgy to it in many, many different ways. And so that's where I fell into.
Years ago, I won't even say how many years ago, because then I would feel super old, but my boss had a bumper sticker that said, "God is too big for one religion." And that was actually the title of my dissertation. I had never even heard such a concept at that point, being raised in evangelical. It was life altering, a stupid bumper sticker, but it changed so much for me by just giving me the perspective or the insight that was even a possibility. Beth, what about you? What interests you on this subject?
It goes all the way back to my childhood. I grew up in the Methodist church, and when I was joining the church and becoming confirmed, and I believe I was 12, around that age, and I remember thinking to myself, well, so if you were born in India and you're Hindu, that means you're going to go to hell, or that's not, it just didn't make sense to me. And I remember I didn't necessarily talk about it. I just remember just saying to myself, that doesn't fit. That doesn't make sense to me, because I believed in a loving God. And, Jesus loves all the little children of the world was the song I loved as a child, because I had struggles as a child and going through abuse and things where you don't feel like you're lovable. That song resonated with me. So I'll go even further back than 12. I'll go back to, 4 or 5 years old, learning that song. He loves all the little children of the world. So to go into this idea that Christianity is the only way did not make sense to me as a child at 12. And I remember when it was about take Jesus into your heart, I remember thinking to myself, well, he's already there. And so I just that's been the foundation of my belief system from then on. So that's, yeah. And I'm sitting here looking at I have in my office here, love in the world's greatest religions, peace in the world's greatest religions, health and healing. All religions have similarities. They all have such connective tissue that if we just can focus on that, So I feel like this has been something in my heart from my lifetime, really.
I love that. I may not forgive you for sticking me with that earworm, but but I love that. I'm going to be singing that song in my head for the next week. I just know it. Yeah. Anna, what about you? Where's your perspective on this?
Woo! It is. And let me start this off by saying, as I have grown older, in a few months, I will be 57 years old, and I am absolutely loving who I am coming into. I grew up with the Roman Catholic Church here, Mexican santerias, curandistas, curanderas, and a little bit of Native American spirituality to throw it all in. We had all of that, which I thought was normal. I thought that's what everybody did. We had Dia de los Muertos, so we had the spirits, we had the candles, we had the icons, we had the skulls, we had the papers, we had the cross, we had everything. And as Beth said, we were going to hell for that, right? Inside the walls of the church, you're going to hell for that. On the outside, it was this beautiful and harmonic and very sensible mixture of this is who you are. These are the ancestors and these are the roots that you came from. And it is only recently that I realized, bless his heart, Paul, right? God loved that man, because it's still taking me a while to have my own come to Jesus with him. He himself was a multi-faith dude, right? Yeah. Here he was, total super Jew, uber Jew, excuse me, that's not the right word, Judean. I want to be very, very clear and honor the respectability of the word in the title Judean. He was this uber Judean to the point where he talked about himself as a Pharisee. And he was embracing this otherworldly Christ figure who was not only over and above what he learned, but was this mysticism of being raised from the dead and the ability to raise others. So this is Justana speaking. Christianity in and of itself has all these underpinnings and this tapestry of so many other cultures. Why are we trying to put a single colored duvet over a multicolored tapestry?
Oh, what a great segue.
Yes, I love
yes.
Yeah.
So I would wager that there is nothing original in Christianity.
No.
I mean, even like if we look at, and Beth and I were talking about this before the show, just with Buddhism alone, the mala beads, the seminary, the praying hands, the outfits, the structure of bishops and cardinals, and that's just Buddhism. I mean, we look at candles in Hinduism, the sun worship of the star. It goes on. The goddess is the Christmas tree. The hell and heaven come from Zoroastrianism and Egypt, not, to say to someone that Christianity, because of a simple verse of I am the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes to God except through me, and use that as your sole reason to exclude other faiths or any of that, I just think is baseless. And I think that's the kindest way that I can say it.
Yes, it is. Because if you truly understand what Jesus was saying, Jesus was the embodiment of love. So yes, love is the truth. Love is the way. And if God
Exactly.
is love, it all is enmeshed. A lot of the Native American beliefs and cultures have this harmonious idea of not just one way, many ways, and we are all in harmony. We are all in harmony. There is no one greater or lesser. And everything that they kind of hold on to, the sweating and the spirituality, the singing, the holding to our ancestors. Who are our ancestors if not God and all the saints who went before us? We are all talking about the same thing, and it is fear that tells us, oh no, nobody else can be right, because does that make me wrong? And that we cling to that instead of the diversity of who we each are and the myriad of roots that we all come from.
It's pure tribalism.
And I think when we don't look at the commonalities and look at it with a just a neutral eye and a look at systems and how faith is a system and how it's formed. Native Americans drum because it's the heartbeat of the earth, you know, and a lot of pagans walk the earth as I do with bare feet because I like to be connected to and grounded to earth. You were talking about multi ways of encountering the divine. Even if we go to biblical scripture, it says, you know, in my Father's house are many, many mansions. Many. And
But they're all Christian mansions, Beth Anne.
No. But I also think
they're all the same.
Tend to put Christianity in the evangelical box.
Yeah.
There are Christians who are not Trinitarians. There are many who are not evangelical.
Yeah.
There are many who are mystics.
Yes.
I mean, even when you consider varieties of early Christianity in the Roman Empire, people brought their local stuff into what they were experiencing and understanding as a new way of living and believing. You know, all the time it was such a mishmash. Diversity was the name of the game. And now that people want to just stick it all in one box and say, well, this is, if you don't fit exactly in here, you know, you're damned for eternity. And that's just not true.
It's so small.
It is. And it speaks to that fear, Anna, that you mentioned, fear. Because what is the opposite of love? You know, fear. You know, if all positive emotion is rooted in fear, all negative emotion all positive emotion rooted in love, all negative emotion feeling rooted in fear, those who want to contain it in a box, it is their own fear that holds them there. And it's that fear, that indoctrination, whatever you want to call it, that keeps in that box. And it's like you said, Beth Anne, I mean, I have met more progressive Christians in the last year and have really just been, it's been eye-opening living in an area where there is such a strong evangelical foothold in Southwest Missouri. There are so many people that are just embracing this idea of we can believe without having to exclude and in turn actually put down, right, others and their beliefs. And I'm just, you know, really heartened by it, not disheartened, heartened by it, that there are more of us that want to include than those of us who want to
coming out of the nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing that pushback against the politicization.
Yes.
Of faith.
When it is
I was,
personal. Sorry, Sherry, go ahead.
yeah, I'm sorry too. I was interviewed yesterday, and someone said, "Do you consider yourself a Christian?" And I'm like, uh, Jesus is still my main dude, but I mean, even that title I struggle with now because it comes with so many caveats.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I would like to say that Jesus is still my main dude, but I really strive to be a great Buddhist. I would really like the commitment of Islam. I would really love to know more about the native religions and how I can appreciate, you know, so it is, I mean, just as much as our faith is a mishmash of all of these other faiths, it's becoming for me to completely lose the title of it because I am becoming that person.
Yes. Yes. Well, Jesus wasn't even a Christian, right? And
Right.
there were some aspects of the Eastern religions that he also explored. And I wonder how much of that is embodied in his peace-like ways. It's, if you think about how we made food from our ancestors to their ancestors to their ancestors, the simple act of making a stew for nourishment, that's kind of like where our, really the root of our religion comes from. We can go to a place of worship, we can read a Bible, we can read the Quran, we can read all sorts of things, we can go to the forest. But what it comes down to, who fed us first and how did that taste? How did that nurture us? And what other spices did we add? And when we were impacted with other people, maybe they had a different spice and, ooh, that adds a little kick. And on days when I need a little kick, I want some of that spice. And
add some of that Tabasco.
And some may use a little bit of cream to make it smoother. And there are days when I just need it a little smoother. And I love the idea of reaching down, like you were talking about, Beth Anne, into the nature, the creation of our roots, and how everything is entwined. We are all entwined. And finding out how cross-pollination happens. And that's where you get so many beautiful different flowers, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
I am a cross-pollination. Yes, yes.
Will you become a co-creator with God?
Yes. And that is who we were meant to be, right? Co-creators and co-caretakers of each other and creation, and circle and the Lion King circle of life and all that. That is who we were meant to be. If we can't embody who we were created to be, if you take away from the tree the very thing that makes it a tree and say, nope, now you have to be a bush, and if you can't be a bush, we're going to pull you up by your roots. Anybody hear anything, remember anything about the Native Americans and the enslaved people? We're going to take this from you and we're going to make you look like a tree. It's still not a tree. Or excuse me, it's still not a bush. It is just a very sick and sad little tree.
Well, if
I
you
forgot
take
where I was going with that. Go ahead.
I got it.
If you take all of the religions and you do a Venn diagram of it, they all intersect at love and let go. Everything else on the outside is the dogma, the laws, the judgment, the exclusivity. So, I mean, just realizing and learning that changed everything for me, because then it was, okay, let's get down to the nuts and bolts of things and let's take out all of the bullshit that humans have created and thrown into because of insecurities and tribes. I mean, I'm trying not to curse. They were told not to take showers at one point. because the other tribes were doing it. So, I mean, we've got some true crap involved in a lot of dogma.
Yes.
So if we take the good stuff and get rid of the other stuff and focus on the love and let go, and again, let go as opposed to surrender or something like that, then that's all that matters, or should, right?
I see it more as let loose. And
oh, I like that.
I do too.
Because you're loosing the spirit that people, they say we have to invoke the spirit or we have to do something. No, spirit's here, spirit's everywhere, spirit's in the air that you breathe.
Yes.
And
everything you need is already there.
Exactly.
It's all within you.
Unknown caller. And Jesus never said a word about what to believe. A lot.
So what do you guys,
I'm sorry, how to be in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys buy into, I'm so sorry. Go ahead. There's a delay. I'm so sorry.
To answer, are you a Christian? I say Jesus follower, or I say red letter Christian. I take all the commentary out of it. And then that led me to a theology of connection, which is really the basis of any theology. If you're connected, if you're not connected, if you're disconnected, if you have a disjointed connection, an incomplete connection. And for me, the only sacrament that there is, and this is going to get me in a lot of trouble with a lot of Christians, I don't think that communion and baptism are sacrament. They're lovely rituals.
Agreed.
But when it comes to sacrament and obeying, if you want to obey anybody and obey the call of Jesus and how to be in this world, measure everything you do and say against the golden rule. If you're not doing it with love, forget it. Because then, and only then, are you living sacramentally.
Love it.
Love that.
Sacrament and connection in your life.
I got goosebumps on that.
Because that is kingdom, what I like to say, kingdom building. You loose the
preach,
spirit.
Beth Anne, preach.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like
Yeah.
Well, that's because I left my denomination because of it.
What do? We feed. This is where the whole heretic comes in. Feeding people, to me, is what that table signifies. Not a broken body. The feeding of love, what you're giving. And the way you come to that altar is with all your brokenness, all your happiness, all your everything, and you're coming naked and vulnerable. This is who I am. Where does it hurt? What do you need? How do I help you? And that, to me, is what the table signifies. If we believe that first aspect of who was it that had faith first, Mary. She's the one that told JC, hey, they need wine. Even though he said, not my time, Mom. Oh, go do what he tells you to do. Her recognition wasn't about wine or blood or anything else. It was help them to take care of those who are here to enjoy or join into their happiness. At that time, it was wine. At this time, it may be food, it may be housing, it may be education. Go out and do what you need to do to help people join together and be okay, be happy, be safe, be secure. I think so many look at these items metaphorically skewed to death and dying instead of living, surviving, and nurturing, not from a body and from a love. It needs to come from love.
So there is a theory out there that from 12 to 30, Jesus actually went and studied with the pagans. his beliefs were not really Jewish. He was going against Judaism. He was going against the aristocracies of the Jewish leadership, and was really teaching a democracy of faiths, right? Because he was sitting with a Sumerian woman. He was including all of those things. And that's very Eastern religions. I mean, I'm still floored. When I was studying Hinduism, it was like, what do you mean there's 330 million gods and they're all equal? I couldn't even comprehend that. But he kind of had that mentality, which leads me to believe, I mean, where did he get it? You know, where did Christianity likes to say, oh, it was divine knowledge, but even he says he was learning and discovering things.
And open.
So, yeah.
Open.
Do you think that, I mean, a lot of the mishmash of the religions become because of conquering, because of wars, because of new government beliefs, those types of things. But do you think that he actually taught from an Eastern philosophy basis?
I do. And I'll just say, you know, this is just speaks to my experience. When I was teaching English, high school English, my very first year, I had to teach mythology to freshmen, and there was the creation myth, and it was showing creation in all the worlds, not just religions, it was just locations. Historically, the creation myth, they were almost identical in so many different ways. So in answering your question, do I believe that? Absolutely. I believe Jesus learned from anyone and everyone that he came into contact with. And even if it's not written somewhere, it's what I believe, because he embraced all. That's my vision of him. He embraced all. And so when you look at it from, you know, that he embraced, I don't even feel like he saw the differences. You know, he didn't set out to create a new religion you know, he just was love. He embodied love and healing. And like you were saying, Anna, and so, yes, I mean, I'm not answering from an academic perspective or, you know, is it written exactly that this is what he did? I just know in my heart, absolutely, that's what he did, because that's how he lived. That's how he did. He lived as embracing all.
If we don't take away from his encounter with the Canaanite woman and the whole crumbs for the dogs thing, which, oh my God, that used to piss me off, right? If we don't take that, the lesson of listening, of observing, of hearing, of contemplating, and then moving to compassion, we miss the whole thing. If that
Sorry, I thought that was vodka, by the way.
That's my smart water.
She's chugging a bottle of vodka. Sorry.
That was a mentoring moment that we missed. And just look at it from she was a Gentile and therefore blah, 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 whatever. It was a mentoring moment. If
we immediately go to division.
If we can see the both end of perhaps Jesus was learning and Jesus was teaching all in one thing, because all the disciples were like, nah, kick her to the curb. No. It was a mentoring moment. It was meant to show, look, this is how you deal with differences. Listen or stop. Listen, hear, observe, contemplate, feed.
Well, and you know, I struggle with the need for religion, but if we look at, since the dawn of civilization, we have always fought love. We have always taken comfort in being an asshole. We have resorted to pain, to war, to conflict, and all of those types of things. We have never, as a species, taken comfort and really strived to have a loving community. So in that instance, I guess religion would be needed, because, you know, if we're not as a society pushing it, someone has to be. Even if it's flawed, even if it has all of these types of things. Love has to matter with or without religion, but it tends to be, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but a source of those types of teachings, regardless of who you follow. Yay, nay?
I guess I separate because religion is I think Beth Anne, you mentioned it earlier this evening about you didn't use the word construct, but the whole, it's this
System.
system. Thank you. I see religion as a system. So to
Okay.
answer your question, Sherry, I would say I don't think it's the system. I think it's the people within, and it might be some of the structure, but not the system itself, because that's a business, truly. And then you
Truly.
separate that to the individual. Goes back to faith, my belief. I was talking about, when I was a child, what I believed wasn't necessarily taught to me other than a few songs, right? Or maybe a few things at that age, but it just didn't feel right. Like it was part
Yeah.
of, and so I don't know that religion is necessary. No, religion isn't necessary for love, but I think love is missing in religion, sometimes,
Yes. True.
so I think it's more that we're trying to bring love into the daily life and conversation, and not that, the structure, the system is almighty. No, it's the people.
And when I was
Because we
talking
need
about
to control.
connection,
Oh, go.
sorry.
Go,
Yeah.
Beth Ann.
When I was talking about connection, okay,
Mhm.
love takes longer.
Mhm.
Love
Mhm.
takes more work.
Yes.
A fight,
Yes.
a struggle within a power structure has an
Mhm.
immediacy to it. Might
No
is right,
thought.
the one who wins.
Mhm.
Loving someone, especially when you don't like them,
Takes
that
time.
takes time. It
Mhm.
takes work. It takes connection. It takes listening skills.
Yeah.
It takes
Takes
all of these
energy.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
And I think, especially in our culture now, where there's, the immediacy of the internet,
Mhm.
the immediacy of the feel good, and the interpretation, when we hold that in one hand and we hold evangelical Christianity, who says it's your personal relationship with Jesus. It's all about you and what you get, what you can consume, what you can use, what you find that will suit you in this faith. Instead of turning that around and saying, um, it's about being empowered, emboldened, and loved in yourself enough that you can then switch it and be church in a global manifestation of love. And
Well,
that's
and
why
that,
I will dance on the grave of the churches as they stand now.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you look at love being the sole message and the sole goal, then the division of religions is just ridiculous. If love is the way, it can be as simple as saying it in a different language, but to divide and conquer each other because of it is
Mhm.
so destructive, and it eliminates any need. I go back to with the religion, it eliminates any need for any type of God follower or anything like that if your whole goal is to love. And that is the main
Mhm.
tenet to do so anyway. It's whoever teaches you to do that the best.
Mhm.
Well, if you think of who taught you the healthiest, most effective love, whether it was an instant, whether it was a process, whether it was several people and you put the idea together. For me, it was my grandmother, and everything she showed me was feeding, whether it was food, whether it was comfort, whether it was company, being with, whether it was a place to sit at the table, whether it was helping in the kitchen, whether it was just holding hands. Everything was about being with. There was no, I will do this if you do this. It was simply giving.
Mhm.
So from her, and in the way she spoke about God, that was my little portion of, she is what God is.
Mm.
She is what I see God is. And it was in total contrast to what I heard, saw, and felt at church. So I chose to hold, thank God, I chose to hold what she taught. in that everyone was beloved. And whatever I did wrong, that I went running to her home, I went running to her home, knowing I would always be let in. She would always love me. There was always some little bit of food. She would always listen. And if I asked, what do I do, Grandma? She would give me her advice, but it was never do this or I will never speak to you again. Or you can leave the house and never come back. So that quote unquote church, that type of religion was what saved my life more than anything, and still does. That to me is who God and Christ and the Holy Spirit and everybody else should be. And it is her spirit, her answer. I still talk to her today. It is all that I feel I need to give out, because that's the way I was taught. Not what the church tried to instill in me, because their messages were so contradictory. We love you, but your body is evil. Love you, but if you don't believe in this, you're going to hell. We love you, but, we hope you have a whole lot of people to pray for you, because you're not getting there if you don't got that.
Oh my God, yes.
There was so many buts.
The eye rolls.
It negated the whole we love you.
Yeah. I just, it's just, I didn't choose this lifetime to be indoctrinated in a religion. I didn't. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, I came into this world going, I don't believe there's just one religion. And I didn't have parents that, forced it on me. And I was able to read and learn about other religions at a young age. And I really do believe that it is a combination of what's been said here today of feeling that love within, and what can we do to help love ourselves more? What are we doing on our internal work, to truly, heal from our pain, heal from our past, learn to love ourselves. And then we go out in service to others with that love. That to me is being Christ-like. That to me is being that is the most powerful way that we can really express I just take away the religion aspect. That's just kind of piggybacking, Anna, on what you said about your grandmother. I wasn't close enough to my grandmother to know her that way. She was Southern Baptist. I had a very different experience. So for me, it came internal. It was internal first, really. And then I looked for validation with other people that weren't so dogmatic in their views. So that's just another perspective for coming from this. I wasn't indoctrinated, but then at the same time, I didn't really have a compass, So I kind of figured it out and found it out by key individuals that I learned from, in this life.
You were looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah, I was.
For love in too many places. So
yes, I know. And a lot of it's true.
I start singing again. That's actually one of the reasons why I started Moment of Love with Anna, Michelle, and Mike, is because I think one of our fundamental problems is that we are looking for love. And that is our sole focus. Who can we get it from? Where can we find it? What can we do? Dating apps, friendships, toxic relationships. We're always looking for love, truly from the moment we were born to the day we die. And we never stop to think and to just give. And you can feel completely enveloped in love. You can feel the power of love just by giving it away, and you no longer feel without. And so I think that when you're looking for a religion and those types of things, if it's not filling you up, if it's not showing you to give love, that's one of the things I love about the Eastern religions, is the honor that they give people and their beliefs and those types of things. When the Western religions is, like we've all said, it's my way or the highway or those types of things, but it's still a sense of what am I going to get from this religion? What am I going to get from you? What are these beliefs going to give me? As opposed to, how can I be a better person? How can this show me how to give more love? How can I walk in love and stop flipping people off? How can I go on Twitter and not turn into a maniacal, crazy person and be mean?
Yeah.
Those types of things. And when the religion says, no, it's okay to hurt your neighbor, it's okay if they believe different than you, it's utterly failed.
So one thing that we studied last week in this third seminary I'm in was how the enslaved people came in, were pushed Christianity on them, but only those parts that kept them docile. And in it, they formed their own. They brought some aspects of their own African spirituality to, and that tied them to where they were from. They incorporated it into the white man's Christianity, and they used that as such a resilience point to where their own messages, the own Black church came from, their own sense of liberation theology. Jesus was not some white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. He was Black like me. If I'm suffering and I'm supposedly in the image according to what this preacher is telling me, then God is Black like me. And to me, to be able to listen to that and look at everything that I grew up with, the herbs, the spices, the chants, the sage, the teas, the words, the prayers in sing-song Spanish, the icons, the novenas. If that isn't paganism, I don't know what is.
Right?
And yet, it not only brought me back to what started out as Christianity and is a feeling of love in a vessel that I see as God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. It is embodied of all of that to include the lessons from the Black church. This is how they survived, taking who they were, taking the strength of what they were learning, and turning it into such a phenomena that makes up the history of the United States for Black America and white America. And I don't think we truly see that.
Well, and as a Facebook user noted, the colonizers have done that in Latin America, frankly, all over the world. Yeah.
And then when Latin America used, they called them, who was De la Casa said, the native conquistador. And when they learned and had the catechism, and then were brave enough to take that and turn it around and fight back. And say, no, this colonization isn't okay. We didn't need you. We don't need your God. We didn't need any of this. We were doing just fine until y'all showed up.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, even today we see using God for conquest. I mean, Putin just came out yesterday and said that he's killing Satanists in Ukraine. So when you invoke evil as in your neighbor and have them as your enemy, that's going to happen regardless. I mean, I was like, really? We're back to Satanists? We're gonna, soon we're going to have, oh, well, they're witches and we should talk about burning. It's like, come up with something new. Come up with something new here and stop using God for your atrocities. That is something across all the religions.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, the Satanists and witches, they're a cut above some of these evangelical.
Oh yeah, I'm totally not saying that. I'm just saying to use that as
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
they're barking up
frankly,
the wrong tree with that.
I learned the differences yesterday of the Satanic Temple the Church of Satan and all of those things. So, but one of them, their list of their 10 commandments is, in my opinion, more holy and loving than the Bible's. So,
yeah, they're humanists.
yeah, they actually care about what's going on now.
I have a question. I don't know how much time we have left. We have 10 minutes, right?
Yes.
I have a question. So, what outside of Christianity feeds you that you absolutely will not let go of?
I would say, I'll start. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is the Egyptian scales of life. It changed for me my sins to my goodness. And it showed me that if people don't know what I'm talking about, according to the Egyptian belief, they take your heart and a feather and they weigh them against each other.
Mm-hmm.
If your heart is heavier than a feather, you go to a knot, which is their version of Satan in hell. I think I said that right. And if it was lighter than a feather, then you go on to their version of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
As an evangelical Christian, my sins always weighed very heavy on me. And it was always am I forgiven? Did I plead hard enough? Did I cry hard enough? Did I, ask forgiveness enough to be okay, to know this? That analogy of the feather and the heart being weighed against each other told me that I have until the day I die to even or adjust those scales. And that's not something that Christianity really teaches. It's, if you die now, you're going to hell and all of these scary things. But to know that until the day I die, I can offset those scales was very liberating to me.
And what feeds me is even further, I think, a little bit maybe outside the box, because it is my complete belief that, yes, the soul is eternal, but that's because I believe fully in reincarnation and that there is no hell, that earth is hell. I mean, this is where we learn lessons and we have soul contracts and we have lessons to learn in this each lifetime. And, and you talk about ancestors, Anna, I go back lifetimes and I know that, it feeds me daily because it's the work I do. Excuse me. I'm helping others heal from their pain in this lifetime, that for some of them, they brought it into this lifetime, but then also to understand, okay, why did I? What is the bigger lesson here? And to make sense of what is sometimes there is no sense. And this beautiful belief in true, pure divine love, that we are that spark within us. And it doesn't come from a religion saying, here it is. It is, we are born with it. Each and every, it is within us. It never, ever, ever goes out. And so from that perspective, I look at all religions in the sense that I've lived in those time periods. I've had some of those different belief systems. I went to a Jewish synagogue when I was taking a holistic theology course, and I had to go to different organizations. And I remember feeling this connection. Like, I know that I know this. I started singing along. I'm like, this feels so real to me that I know I've lived. And Judaism has been my religion before. So that's what feeds me, is that, that continuation of life. It really does. In all areas of my life, it feeds me.
Beth Anne?
The biggest thing that has been spurning me forward lately, and I think is the basis of everything that I believe and that I preach and that I do, is that punitive substitutional atonement theory is the largest religious lie that has ever been perpetrated upon humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. The wages of sin or death has created more trauma than anything. My dog is sinless and it's going to die someday.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's just fear-based karma versus love-based karma. It's the same, I'm using my language, but it's not punitive. We learn and we grow, and we, and yeah. Ooh,
Okay, go on, Beth Anne.
yeah, go on. I didn't mean to jump in on.
When you live your life in such a way that you live against and push back against that lie, you become very radicalized.
Yeah.
Love is very radicalizing, and people don't like that because it doesn't fit into, again, the structures that they have made that make them personally feel better.
Yeah.
And there's so much more there. It's not just a sip of water, it's living waters are there.
Yeah.
I like that.
I
do
could
too.
just
I like that.
hop on a soapbox and preach.
And it's the freedom, and go ahead. Yeah, it's the freedom to believe, what what resonates within your heart and soul. And I do believe that for a lot of people, love doesn't resonate sometimes because they've lived so long in fear. They recognize fear so much, that's where that's that familiar, and it's like, step away from fear, and stepping into love is scary. I know, that sounds like an outrageous statement.
No, nothing pisses off the internet more than telling them to love their neighbor. It happens every single time. I'm going to hell. How dare you tell me, you heretic? I was called a Karen yesterday for saying that you should love. I'm like, I don't think you understand what a Karen is. I'm saying love.
Love. It is. Because deep down, truly, I believe that is what we are searching for. And I believe it was said, and I can't, forgive me for not remembering who mentioned it, but that's truly, though, what we are all searching for. Sherry, you mentioned it, from birth to death, right? Love. And that love that we find within can't be taken away or taken and moved and changed. That's what's within us. And that's that love that we can learn through, progressive Christian churches and people and mixing of cultures and multiple different ways, and seeing all these beautiful paths leading to the same spot, which is here, right? Divine, pure love. That's right here.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Anna, what's your opinion on your question?
I think of, the very first thing I think of is, of course, my grandmother telling me, you are a beloved child. There's nothing that will ever separate you from love, God's love. That has buoyed me through everything. And remembering the ways my grandfather would take my grandmother to all of these curanderas and hot springs and everything else to try to help her with her arthritis. And some worked, some didn't. And listening to the sing-song Spanish novenas to the Holy Family on the fireplace, on top of the mantle. So all of this was just about community, was about rhythm, was about togetherness, was about nurturing, was about returning to the old ways.
The old-timey ways.
Yes, in doing so. And so I find comfort in doing the same thing now. I have the blue candles, the black candles, the white candles. I have the broom over the door. I have the Holy Family on the mantle. I have the salt across some of the windows.
We're getting Beth Anne's, yeah.
And I speak on like from last night to tonight. I speak to those who've passed. I showed my daughter the movie Coco. I don't know if you've ever seen it. That was such a joy to us, Disney's Coco, about Dia de los Muertos, because it showed the pain in families when there is no communication, and it showed how to cross that veil to help heal, both on this side and that side, and how I think the last word was everything in our memories keeps us alive. All on that side of the veil and this side of the veil. And we need those on that side of the veil.
Mhm.
And they need those of us on this side of the veil. That is what I cling to. I keep telling my kids, I'm going to haunt you when I'm dead, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Wow. Well, this has been an amazing conversation, and it was exactly what I expected it to be. Going through all of these things, I'm so glad we finally got to have this conversation, and I think we need to have more with this. Beth Anne, any final words, and where can people find you?
Actually, they'll be able to find me in Vietnam, actually.
That's right. You're moving like next year, right?
We're leaving the United States.
Oh, wow.
We'll be with my nonprofit. And my husband is Vietnamese. We'll be in Vietnam, and I'll be working with elder care and caregiver support in the dementia community.
Nice.
And I'm going to be writing and studying there specifically about the intersection between Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
nature religions, and the colonialist Christianity.
Oh my God, we have to have you on a million more times just to talk about that. That is awesome.
Take lots of pictures. Blog,
Yes.
blog,
Oh, I
blog,
will.
blog,
Lots
blog.
of pictures.
I'm in the process of getting like the trademark for the everything. But it looks like right now it might be steadfastcommunity.org.
That is absolutely amazing. And they can find you on Facebook, Instagram, all of that too, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any final words? Final thoughts, Beth Anne?
No, really, just blessed be.
I like that.
Mhm.
It's kind of scary to say at this point, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
The whole Handmaid's Tale.
It's All
Beth.
Saints Day today.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
All Saints Day.
Yes. Beth, any final words, and where can people find you?
Just you can find me at everydaypeaceandpurpose.com. I'm really loving working with groups with self-forgiveness. I'm working with some recovery centers with women on self-forgiveness and that path to self-forgiveness. And so that's really where my heart is right now. And I'm just going to continue to help others. I mean,
Nice.
That's the path. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Anna, I know we can find you here every week, but where, any final words, or where can people find you?
You are all beloved and loved, and nothing can separate you from the overall love of creation, in creation, and for creation. And who knows where I'll be tomorrow, but know that I will haunt all of you in such a good way.
Well, I like you still here. I don't want you haunting me anytime soon. You got to remain here. Ladies, thank you so much for such a soul-filling conversation, and I love you all. I will see you backstage. Let me go ahead and shut down the show.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Am I still on? Okay. I don't know how to do this. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, I know this is all messed up and I don't even know how to fix it. So I'm just going to say goodbye. Next week, we are having Being Gay and Christian show. Andy Wells is going to be on it, who wrote the book, I Tried to Be Straight. So join us then. Anna's bio is staying up on the screen, so forgive that. But check out Moment of Love. You got to give love away to everybody, and I will see you next week. Walk in love. Bye-bye. Mwah!